Hello, fresh-faced listener. Is this your first time? If so, welcome to the Neon Gutter. We promise to treat you gently. Today we're going to be talking about one of the best trip reports in a large catalog co-written by my two co-hosts. It features everything necessary in great drama. Loss, love, naked accordion players, undercooked shrimp, strip club spankings, and a young ingenue named Jerry, the titular Vegas Virgin. To talk about that epic trip are my two co-hosts, the OG Vegas influencers, Dan and Matt. Hey, guys.
Hey, it's Dan, the OG Vegas influencer. What's OG mean again?
And Matt.
Hello, this is Matt, and I'm excited to talk about the Vegas Virgin, the friendships we gained and the friendships we lost on that exciting weekend.
We didn't lose any friendships on that weekend. That was a love and unicorns weekend. Everything was love.
We lost a friend, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
He's still my friend. I just don't know where the hell he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you mean lost as in misplaced? I see, yes.
Well, you guys are fantastic writers. You've written many great trip reports. And please, I encourage all our listeners to read this one on neongutter.com. Again, it's called The Vegas Virgin. But this trip report is definitely one of my favorites because it details the first time I ever met you both in person. So it's got a personal connection for me.
Yep.
And I think it takes place in the late 1990s. Is that right? Give us a little background on the trip.
99, that's right.
Okay.
I mean, we had been already going to Vegas for a decade. We'd kind of gotten our sort of thing down of like just screwing around, walking around. We had already kind of gotten into the cheapo modality of not sitting and playing gambling games or any of that stuff, but just looking around, always walking up and down the strip, seeing what was new.
We were feeling our oats too, though. We were starting to get some fame. We were starting to get some followers.
Absolutely.
We were full of ourselves. Man, we were full of ourselves. We thought we owned that town. We walked around like we did, and nobody stopped us.
It's true. And we would see other people kind of our age, and we would kind of like, what are they doing here?
Yeah.
Let's face it, the places you guys were walking around like you owned, nobody else was claiming. Nobody else was claiming ownership of those places.
That's a good point.
That's true. And when we did see young people out, we were like, what the hell are you doing here? We thought we were the only people under the age of 50 in these places. But,
yeah.
Yeah, and so I was one of those people that had just, learned about you guys from your writing on the internet and then actually made a plan for a trip and came out to Vegas to meet you guys in person. Now, I came out with my close friend for many years whose name was Bob Black, and he kind of stars in the early part of this trip report because he's like the first person you meet up with, Matt. You first encountered him at the Elko. Tell us a little bit about that and your first impressions of Bob.
That's right. I came in a day earlier than everyone else because I had to do some logistical work to get the soiree that we were going to have on Saturday going. So I came in Thursday night and Bob Black was already there. Had never met him. This was really before social media, so I had never even seen a picture of him. He just said, meet me at the El Cortez. And nobody needs to twist my arm to meet them at the El Cortez. So he'd be at the craps table. And there wasn't that much concern about whether I'd know which guy he was because he'd be the only other guy under 50 there. So my wife, Amy, and I got to the El Cortez where we were staying for the night and got to the craps table. And it was immediately apparent which person at the table was him. Not because he didn't look like the rest of them, but because he looked like the rest of them, but younger. He absolutely looked like he fit in.
That's the Bob Black aesthetic for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a tank top. He's one of those guys that could had sticky enough lips that a cigarette would just hang on it. He was kind of greasy. His eyes were bloodshot. And I walked up to him kind of like, Bob, and he goes, hey, Matt, how's it going? It's like he knew me. And he didn't even look up from the craps. Well, he did look up from the craps table, not to look at me, but to give my wife the once over. He's like, So that was my first impression of Bob Black.
You eventually warned your wife about him and gave him a nickname. What did you say about that?
That's right, because she played craps with us for a little bit. And then when she said, I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed, I said, okay. And I gave her a kiss. And then Bob went in for a kiss too. And I'm like, no. And then when he was staying at the Golden Nugget, my wife and I were staying just up the stairs, 40 steps from the craps table at the El Cortez in the vintage rooms. Wow. He was staying at the Golden Nugget, and he said he was going to go back to the Golden Nugget where he was going to look for some adventurous married ladies. And so I got up to the room and I couldn't remember. It was so late. I couldn't remember. But in the morning, I remember I told my wife, stay away from Bob. He's a Lothario. And she's like, what's a Lothario? And it's a lazy Lothario, a lethargic Lothario.
That's
and
right.
that was
a perfect
Bob's
description
aesthetic.
of Bob. Yeah, perfect description of Bob that has lasted his entire adult life.
Yes. He was absolutely, yeah. That's who Bob is to me, and who Bob will always be.
Burt, how is Bob these days?
Good. I was just in touch with him today a little bit to get in touch with him about this trip report, and he's doing well. He's living in Minneapolis, nice. But I think we may have him on a later podcast next season.
That would be
he's
great.
got some good stories about Vegas and about all of us too,
and about married women.
That's for sure.
The thing about Bob is he fit right in with our group.
Oh my God.
He was
yes.
actually like kind of, I was a little jealous because he, I always felt like I was an imposter playing a grungy character, and he really had it down pat. He nailed it. And so, and he also taught me
without trying too. He just
was natural. Yeah. My secretary ended up dating him for a while. I came back from our trips and showed her photos of our trip, and she's like, oh, I want to meet that guy. So, man, he had it. Anyway.
Kind of rugged good looks. I could see that. Yeah.
We had played craps plenty of times before, but he introduced me to Hanging 'em High.
Oh.
And that night, and I'm like, holy crap, you can throw the dice that high? And I've never thrown them lower since. And he and I kind of had we're competing to see who could throw them higher and who would get yelled at the Elk
and who would go to bed with your wife. You were competing for that too. So.
I did.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't a given.
As an aside, I was in touch with Bob today, and he was driving through Wisconsin today and listening to the latest episode of our podcast.
Right on.
As I texted him about the trip report. So
good.
Hey, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
So enough about Bob, because frankly, he's going to get a big head if he gets too much airtime on this. But Matt, you also met up with someone I don't think we've talked about yet on the podcast, which is David Feldman, who we affectionately call Feldy, and you met him over at the Pepper Mill with Amy.
Yep.
He's a much different character than Bob, or a much different character than a lot of us. How did we get involved with Feldy?
I guess just through the internet, he was reading our stuff. He is a true writer, a published writer, a successful one. And he thought, I guess we were funny. I don't know. But he's a much more sophisticated New York type character with a spectacular taste in food. Yep. And he introduced us to so many good restaurants. But yeah, we met up with him that night at the Pepper Mill. I remember I had to use the phone on the plane to call him because I didn't have a cell phone and we were going to be late because our flight got delayed. So I actually had to pay with my credit card to call and use that phone that was in the back of the seat in those days.
So, yeah, as a reader of your trip reports, they're often a little fantastical, and I don't always know what to believe and what not to believe. And one of the things I honestly could not believe was that you paid to use the airphone
I know.
to make any kind of arrangement with anybody.
I know. I think it cost half of what our room cost.
Right.
I believe it.
It was expensive, but I felt terrible. I didn't want him to wait an hour and a half for us at the restaurant or give up. The name Feldy was come up with by Mark. Mark met him first because Mark lived in New York City and he lived in New York City. So they met up. So we all got to meet Feldy through Mark. And Mark is the perfect person to meet people because everyone likes Mark. And so they assume, the rest of these guys must be okay too.
Sure.
Little do they know. But Mark said, hey, can we call you Feldy? And Feldy's like, I'm not a big fan of it, but okay, whatever. And so we were all like, all right, Feldy. And so nobody else has ever called him Feldy, but we made it stick.
Mark was like our face. He was the one, the charisma up front, or Riz, as the kids would say.
Yeah. He was a respectable front for the group, and then as you got into it, then you found out how horrible everyone else was.
I think it's worth naming specifically that Dave Feldman, I don't know if he introduced us to Lotus of Siam, but that's like this great Thai place. It's still there. It's definitely much more popular now. There's 2 locations. But when we were going, it was a hole in the wall. And amazing food that Dave would take us to.
Next to Surge's Showgirl Wigs.
Exactly, next to the wig shop. And he knew the chef and was very close. And our photo was on the wall for a while in that restaurant with Feldy and the owners and the gaggle of us, because we all took a photo there. I went out to dinner with him, leaving town one day. We snuck in one more meal at Lotus of Siam. That's when I found out he can eat very hot foods. He ordered a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, which...
At Lotus.
At Lotus is very hot.
Yeah. At Lotus is really hot. And this is why to this day I have no hair on my head. Thanks, Feldy.
Yeah, Feldy introduced us to a ton of great restaurants. And
yeah, I'm eternally grateful to Feldy for introducing us to a number of places, but especially Lotus of Siam in its very early days, and being able to eat there for the last, 2.5 decades or 3 decades has been fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe a quick shout to Feldy the Eldie. His older brother, Phil Feldman, was there, who became Feldy the Eldie.
Yeah. He came to several of the soirees as well, and always brought stuff for us. And he used to publish all the best hotel deals from the LA Times back when the LA Times used to
he had the LA
them.
Times deals, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, back to the trip. I guess, Dan, you arrived a little later. So, Matt, you had to pick up this Jerry character, the Vegas Virgin, but you didn't know Jerry, right? You hadn't met him either, right? It was Dan's friend from college. Is that
it was Dan's
right?
friend from yeah. So this is just one of those things where you're young and you know it's just this growing, ever changing ball of people, and so he needed a ride from the airport, and so we picked him up and brought him down. And at that point, I was super evangelical about cheapo and doing Vegas as grungy and guttery as possible. And this is a new kid. He'd never been to Vegas. He didn't know us. And this was an opportunity to kind of get my hooks into him, and be like, okay, look, you've heard about Vegas, but now we're going to show you how to really have fun in Vegas. And I'm going to teach you all the ins and outs and all the grimiest, grungiest places. It never once occurred to me, as it still doesn't, whether someone would want that, because that's irrelevant. They need to want that, and my job was to convince him that that's what he needed. So I was excited about it too, and he was Dan's friend, but I was going to make him my friend. Oh, you know what? I didn't pick him up at the airport. I take it back. He had to take the 108 bus.
That's right.
He took the bus downtown.
Yeah, for $1. And that is, there's no better introduction to the Neon Gutter than taking a bus to downtown Las Vegas at midnight. You meet some interesting characters.
I'll just say I knew Jerry from Arizona State, and I brought when I went there for grad school, I brought a bunch of people to Vegas from there when I was there in the early '90s, like Jeff Barr, who comes with us and still is in the gang, and we still see him every year. This was because I was in the comedy group there. When I left the comedy group at Irvine, I found the one at Arizona State. So a bunch of those people came with us on different trips. A guy called Pat, and a guy who looked kind of like Satan Jim, and a guy we called Little Dan, who was very annoying. Maybe we'll talk about him at some point. He could not stop talking. It was kind of a quirk.
Let's not talk about him.
Let's not stop talking about him. But Jerry was a friend from that comedy group, really funny guy, kind of fussy, so I knew that he wasn't going to love the sleaze and the slime. I wanted him to have a nice time seeing the fun of Vegas. I wanted to kind of take him under my wing, show him the good food that we'd started eating and the good parties that we had. I was just looking forward to seeing him.
But luckily, I got to him first.
Yeah, but your charms didn't work on him.
Yeah, they did.
No.
I think he had a fantastic time with me, and I mean, I wish we could find him, so we could ask him. But
he had a fantastic time because of me.
No,
mostly keeping him. No, away from
I showed him some spectacular things, and I think he'll forever be grateful, even if whatever happened to him anyway.
But yeah, let's just say you guys had different approaches to hang out with Jerry and how you would sort of fold him into the group.
Yeah, through a coupon deal, I got him breakfast at the Orleans for $1.33 on
Now,
Friday
honestly,
morning.
That's going to appeal to Jerry. He is a man who is a cheap guy.
Yes, he's man, I want in on this. But then he wanted to go to, at the time, the Las Vegas Hilton, which is now the Westgate, had a Star Trek casino.
Of course, yes.
Part of their casino was Star Trek, yeah. And it was a big deal. And
it had just gone in.
he was a Trekkie, and he wanted to go to that, and so he wondered if he could get a ride over there since I had a rental car, and so we did. I gave him a ride within about 2 miles of it and let him walk the rest of the way, and it was June, about 105 degrees. But that that's what toughens you up. That's what makes you appreciate Las Vegas and appreciate air conditioning. So he can go do his nerd thing or whatever it is at the Star Trek Hilton. And we went off and did our own thing. But that was like, a good way to say, okay, welcome to Vegas. Now walk 2 miles in the heat. You're on your own.
Now, Dan, you eventually did get to town, and looking through the photographs of the trip report, you had an unusual hairstyle. Can you talk about that a little bit and how that happened? Yeah.
So some of the hair had grown back after that meal with Dave Feldy, and we had a hairdresser we loved in Berkeley. We just, honestly, I just was shaving my head at that point, but I met these really lovely mother and daughter. And so I would get my hair styled by them, and I asked for stripes. Basically, it's not cornrows. I basically had her shave stripes out of my head.
It looked like tiger stripes almost in your head.
Kind of. Yeah, I was a badass. It looked good with
You were kind of a badass.
I was. I wanted to look tough. And I had in one of the photos, this is again my sort of my early days in Berkeley and the Bay Area, and kind of getting into a different vibe, kind of a more hippie vibe. I found this green candle that somebody said was a money candle. So I was like, I'll burn that in Vegas. Where else? And we're all going to win if I burn this candle. So
I always thought that haircut was kind of inappropriate cultural appropriation. Dork is a culture.
You're lucky we're doing this on Zoom, because I'd kick your ass so bad right now. I just wish I could still get that hairstyle.
That's a compliment. I'm saying that you're not a dork. You were just appropriating their culture.
All right. So going along with fashion and style, I also noticed in the photographs that Steve was wearing his famous Stupak 316 T-shirt that he had for a number of years. And I was looking at that. I was like, that's really super cool. I haven't seen him wear one of those for a long time, but maybe we should start selling those on our website. They have a Neon Gutter Stupak 316 T-shirts.
We may want to wait till he passes away so that we don't have to pay him royalties, but it's a good idea.
It's kind of a combination of biblical and Vegas, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And the quote in the Bible, Stupak 3:16 says, "Never gamble more
than you can afford
to win."
That's right. Now, on this night, you also finished the night at the Gold Spike. You guys were a little drunk after playing craps and drinking and stuff.
It's true.
And the trip report, I noticed, mentions that you actually ate one of the hot dogs at the Gold Spike. Is that really true? Did that really happen?
Hungry.
and there's alcohol involved. Yes.
Yes. To quote Tristan Jones, starvation knows no morals.
At 3 a.m.
These hot dogs just rotate for probably months on that little rotisserie thing.
Yeah.
They're about as hard as leather, and
especially the Gold Spike, because it's hard to find someone who's gonna grab one of those at any point at the Gold Spike.
The Gold Spike Cafe at the time was really a hole in the wall. I mean, it's probably not much better now, but it was way in the back. Pretty awful to walk in there. One of the worst places we would eat. I don't know if we took David Feldman there. I wonder.
I don't know if Feldy ever went there. Maybe. I mean, definitely went to the Gold Spike. You know that it's not a good hot dog when you ask for it and the cashier says, "Seriously?" It's like, and I think we got like a hot dog and coffee and pie, which I can honestly say is a meal I've never had those three things in the same meal ever again.
Ever, before or since.
But it seemed like exactly the right thing at that point.
It was a delicacy, that hot dog. It was like nothing else you could find.
It
like
was
100-year-old eggs, that kind of thing.
But we did tell Jerry we were going to go to the Western. And I wanted to eat there, but nobody else wanted to eat at the Western because they'd already, it's worse than the Gold Spike. But we told Jerry didn't want to go eat at the Western, but we told him, okay, meet us at the Western. He was new to town, so he didn't know where it was. I said, where is it? Said, just walk east. You'll find it. And then we went to the Las Vegas Club.
That's a terrible prank to play on.
It's pretty cruel because that's a terrible walk.
It's not a prank. It's tough love. I mean, without the love, but still.
It's just yes.
So we ate at the Las Vegas Club, which is a pretty good, cheap cafe upstairs, the upper deck, and had a decent meal. And then we went over to the Western, and when Jerry showed up, that kid was so scared. He was terrified, and he was missing a shoe, and his foot was bloody too.
Wow.
And I do remember that he yelled at me, like he was mad at me, and that hurt my feelings because I was trying to do these nice things for him. And he's like, you didn't tell me how scary this was going to be. And he got lost, and I don't know, he stepped on some glass. I forget the whole story, but
he was limping for much of the weekend too.
Yeah. And the security guard comes over and goes, hey, if you guys want to fight, do it outside. When you're done, you can come back in, but do the fighting outside. So we stopped fighting then. And I think I gave him $5 to play blackjack so I could teach him like how to play. He'd never played blackjack before, so I could teach him. And so he was like holding the cards with both hands. He was really nervous. I said, okay, you can only touch cards with one hand. I said, if you want to hit, rub your belly. If you want to stand, pat your head. And so I was having him rub his belly to hit and pat his head to stand. And the dealers were so pissed because they had no idea what was going on and what he was doing. And he was getting really mad too and confused because what he was doing didn't work. They didn't understand what he was doing. And those dealers are very new to the game. But I remember that ended, he stopped playing. He was mad at me again. And I said, okay, you got tens, you got to split them. So you need to do a handstand. And that was about the end of his night playing blackjack with us.
That's when you saw his bloody foot.
Okay, so we get into Saturday, and I think we've mentioned on the podcast before that on occasion, Dan, you brought a full-size accordion to Las Vegas, and this trip was no exception, and it made a very early appearance Saturday morning. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was, I hated bringing it. I would fly out of Oakland, and for some reason the flight was at the very farthest gate. So I was lugging that thing in an accordion case, mostly made out of duct tape. Friday night, I was at the Gold Spike, and you should know that Matt has a way of, he's a little, as you could tell, he's a little...
delightful?
Back in the day, he was kind of difficult to be around. And in prior trips, he'd wake you up like I would be sleeping soundly in the room with Matt and suddenly like wake up to a pillow being slammed on top of me. Or he would just start to play the music really loud in the room. Like almost every trip, it's like, how am I going to get rudely awakened this morning? So I couldn't sleep on Friday night. I was so tired. So I actually was watching the sun come up, and we were on the top floor of the Gold Spike, which is a bunch of suites. And as you step out of any of the suites, there's a balcony. And between the balcony, there's nothing but this little railing. And so basically, I just climbed over the railing, took my accordion with me, stood outside of Matt's room at probably 7:30 in the morning. And oh my God, I played that thing. That was... do you know this? You know how the Beatles went up on the roof and played... that famous concert in London. It was kind of like that. There were all these people on the street pointing up at me, but I was just wailing on the thing. And incidentally, completely naked because, it was early in the morning. I sleep in the nude, especially when I'm sharing with other guys. But this sounds really weird. I'm going to backpedal on that story a bit. Yeah, I tend to sleep in the nude. So I climbed over there and was just, I woke up Matt. For a change. Yes. It was a good concert. He came out. He was so happy to hear music in the morning. Live music on the balcony.
Yeah, that's not true. All I remember is waking up a little bleary-eyed and going, what the... And then I went out, and there was this naked man with an accordion on my balcony.
Such a privilege.
The first time I ever didn't appreciate the Gold Spike Suite balconies was that morning with this naked man. And I told him, stop it. I said, take that thing off. And he goes, you want me to take it off? And so he started taking it off. I said, no, put it back on.
I had won the battle with my wiener.
He did.
And those Gold Spike Suites, looking back on them, were just an absolutely tremendous value. They're very basic in terms of furnishings, but they were super spacious and had those balconies, and they were, and cost nothing. They were fantastic.
They had free accordion concerts every morning.
I think you paid an extra $7 a night to get a suite. And it was 2 rooms, one with a sofa and a TV, and then one with 2 beds and a bathroom in between. And then, sliding glass doors onto this big balcony. And if you got a corner, you had a balcony that wrapped around the corner of the upstairs. The furnishings were no nicer than any other room in the hotel. They still stunk, but they were huge. And so when you're sleeping 6-8 people in a room, it was perfect.
Not bad. And some of them adjoined too. Yeah, the view from the balcony was not much to look at because you're not over the strip, but even still 7 stories. It was kind of cool up there.
Got to see that lonely El Cortez Tower. It's not a bad look.
That's right.
Yeah, and the back of Binion's and
Sure. Now, was this the first trip with an ice cream social? I know that was part of the trip, and you had to put that together that day, because that ice cream social, I remember, was of course where I first met you two and the rest of the gang for the first time. I came in a little bit later for whatever reason. I can't remember why I came in later than Bob Black, but Stinky in his report mentions that there was some weather issues at O'Hare in Chicago, so that may have held me up or something. I'm not sure. But you spent part of the day trying to get the ice cream social pulled together, and tell us a little bit remind our listeners what that's all about, the ice cream social. Yeah,
that was the first time, and we actually originally thought we'd do it in the Gold Spike Suites and realized we were just going to have too many people, and they wouldn't be able to all get up there. So I contacted Fitzgerald's to see if they would rent us their balcony, and they said they would. So we had a private party on their balcony. We had it for 2 hours. That
balcony's still there right now.
Yeah,
you can see it. It's still there.
Yep.
Outside the D.
Yep. And they said we couldn't bring our own food, but we did. I had a local named John Nee who ferried us around town to pick up dry ice. He did some background work to figure out where we could get dry ice and an ice chest. And then he got us into Costco to get, a ton of drumsticks and bomb pops and whatever. I don't know, probably had 100 or so ice creams. And then we just hauled it up to the Fitzgerald's balcony and had a party and just invited everyone to come and have a free ice cream. And they put up a sign that said Big Empire Social, Fitzgerald's did, and it said private official party, which I think Phil probably rearranged to say pirate party.
Phil's the type to do that, to rearrange the letters on things.
And then Dan had his accordion, and it was the appropriate place and time for an accordion concert.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to take my clothes off for that concert.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I played some...
too much dry ice around.
Yeah, too much dry ice. That's a hazard.
Yeah,
I remember that. Matt was really into the ice creams. Unwrapped a popsicle with the blue dye and just rubbed it all over his face.
It was hot
in his hair, leaving sticky. That to me was the height of gross. I hate sticky, but if he had his shirt off, it would have been all over his nipples. I'm absolutely sure of it.
Oh yeah, I think one question I would have is, it was the first time you had met us. Did we live up to our hype?
That's a good question. Did you see Matt rubbing popsicles all over his face? Because that would
I did. I did see that. But I think if you'll notice in some of the photographs and in Mark's report, a lot of time was spent looking down at the street with a guy playing with a yo-yo. So there wasn't, outside of the accordion show, it may have been a little lackluster outside of the ice creams and the accordion, because
the accordion was
attention
the star.
paid to the yo-yo guy.
That accordion player was so good. I was doing They Might Be Giant songs. I used to play Pixies, Here Comes Your Man on the accordion.
But it did end up getting more fun, because as we left the ice cream social and worked our way as a group out of Fitzgerald's, that's when Dan with his accordion, as we've already discussed again in another podcast, Dan absolutely got up on one of the show stages at Fitzgerald's and started playing.
An empty 6x10 stage, and Feldy was like, "There's a stage, go up there." So I owe it all to Feldy the LD, Phil Feldman, who pointed up, and sure enough, that's where I did Misty Eyed Lady at Fitzgerald's.
And you didn't get kicked out that time.
The first year I did not get kicked out. People just listened to me wailing on that thing. There was a crowd around me from the ice cream social. So it seemed like there was a reason for me to be there, even though there was no sound sound engineering or anything. I just finished the song and we all left. It was kind of great. It was the year after I attempted that when I got off stage, the security guard said, "You can't just come in here and do that." and I got thrown out. I got thrown out for a half hour. It's like when you get thrown out of a casino back then, it's like being in timeout. It's like, go sit on the street for a little while and you can come back in when I turn my back.
I remember after that, everyone kind of peeled off. There were a few hours for dinner before the actual soiree started. And I remember Dan commandeered Jerry. I had some plans for Jerry. I wanted him to meet some crack whores or crack addicts and some unsavory characters. And Dan, I forget what he did. I think he took him someplace else. And so I didn't get a chance to spend any time with Jerry. And I still had a lot to show him, which really kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, that afternoon. Wait, I think we went to...
you guys went back to that Star Trek Hilton thing.
We went back to it? Oh,
well,
wow.
You hadn't been. Jerry had been once, and he actually went back to it.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's why I felt like the ice cream social wasn't quite living up to my expectations, because you both, if I remember right, were sort of fighting over the attention of Jerry the whole time, and it sort of seemed like, you know, the rest of the guests sort of got a short shrift.
Well, I don't really like Star Trek, but Jerry is so into Star Trek that I decided to go with him. And some
I think
other
it's pronounced Star Trek, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, like a trek, not a track. I see.
I don't quote me on that, but I
Let me Google it.
I think Jerry had sold you guys on the fact that there were talking urinals at the Star Trek experience.
Cool. It was cool. You would pee and there would be like a little recording, like saying they were analyzing your urine content and the alcohol content, and it was great. And the bar was actually pretty great. I mean, look, you might not be into Star Trek, but we've talked many times on this show about how themes, when they're carried out, is kind of fun, and they definitely committed to the bit at the Hilton. And
they had as much dry ice at the bar as we did at the ice cream social, because every drink had a bunch of smoke coming out of it.
There were people in costumes.
They had some slot machines there, and instead of like a pull handle, you would put your hand in like a little light beam,
like
and
that's
what
I-beam.
would spin the reels.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the bar was like they had different cocktails for each of the Star Trek races, and people were in costumes. For a while
they had people in costumes and stuff. I think that eventually got phased out.
It was a flash in the pan. It did not last for...
It lasted a long time, but it just kind of hung on as just like a space, that not outer space, but just like an unused space for a while.
It felt like it hit a high point when it first opened and was in a slow decline for years, like less and less, until it was kind of being phoned in.
And I don't think of Star Trek fans as like a really rich demographic. So it's an interesting choice to try to fleece Star Trek fans of their money. Yeah. It didn't last very long. Originally they had table games, and they got rid of the table games first, and they got rid of the fancy drinks, and eventually I think they got rid of the licensing for Star Trek, and so it was just like a kind of a vague space casino, and then it was
called Quark's Bar. It was called Quark's Bar.
Quark's Bar. That's right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting point you're making, Matt, because so many properties, TV brands, and things like that wind up being a slot machine here, like the Wheel of Fortune slot machine. Or we just saw the little Shop of Horror slot machines last time I was there. That's all they really needed for Star Trek.
Yeah.
But instead they built this whole thing.
Well, did they have a show? Did they have a show or something you could?
Whoa, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I feel like there was something that you could buy a ticket to, and
Star Trek Burlesque.
Obviously never did.
You know what?
If we ever find Jerry again, we should ask him.
Jerry would know.
Because he would know. He'd know in and out. Yeah.
Jerry would know, but he's not here.
No,
he's not.
The other thing is, if there's any demographic that's going to be hyper analytical about gambling, it's a Star Trek demographic.
Right. If they'd be nerdy enough to know not to gamble.
Right.
They'd be like, this is a losing proposition.
Yes.
And then they'd say it more nerdy than that, and then they'd just walk away.
All right. Well, later that night, then it was time for the big soiree. So probably I would assume the largest one you had to date.
Yes.
How did the soiree go, and the penny slot tournament that goes with it at the Gold Spike? How many drinks did you have to buy? Do you remember?
It was massive. I remember that. We really overran the place.
Yeah. We overran the Gold Spike. It's a good question to ask you, is how did it go? Did that live up to the expectations?
That's a good idea.
Because to me, those soirees felt chaotic and goofy and very fun, and everyone met some oddball from the Gold Spike at those. But I don't know, you tell us.
Yeah, that's kind of how I thought it was. It was a little chaotic. It was very fun. Having a little alcohol and social lubricant helped that, and just being in the evening. And then the penny slot tournament was just a lot of goofy running around and stuff, and that was fun too. So that was definitely one of the higher points too.
So they're 50-cent cocktails. I don't remember spending more than 10 or 15 bucks to buy people drinks. A lot of people didn't want to drink out of one of the Gold Spike's glasses. Other people got them for free because they were playing penny slots.
They were watered down cocktails. They were pretty weak.
Yeah. There was an oddball there who was not part of our group, but was just a Gold Spike regular who called himself Reverend Dave, who was buying people drinks as long as they'd listen to his proselytizing, which was... I don't know what denomination it was. I think it was his own made-up denomination, but he was happy to talk to people.
He was evangelical and then getting people to listen to the gospel over cheap cocktails.
He had a red tuxedo on that he was bursting out of.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Once you said the red tuxedo, it's all coming back.
And then, you're mixing with these Gold Spike customers who are like, half of them are like, who are these jerks? And the other half just kind of blend in and fold into the whole group. And so you meet these wacky characters and you have other characters grumbling at us.
Especially the people in the copper mine who were playing the penny slots. They were serious. They were not pleased. They were serious gamblers, and they did not appreciate.
They didn't appreciate it because, like our tournament, anything goes. You could actually grab other people's pennies and run around. So, like watching people do that when they're trying to gamble seriously.
Yeah,
they hated us.
We had to alter that rule or clarify that rule specifically for Robert, that you could grab the pennies of anyone else in the tournament.
Right.
Not the locals.
Because he's a big guy. He could have probably gotten arrested.
So and a guy named Lester won. He was a newcomer, and he was so uncomfortable at the Gold Spike, and yet he won the penny slot tournament. And the whole time he was there, he just he wanted to go somewhere else.
Gay guy, well dressed, kind of. He was cool. He was a lot. Guy. He was a lot classier than the Gold Spike, and I don't think he was really in on the joke. But he was there with Abby Vegas, who I think enjoyed herself.
Oh yeah, and is still a friend of ours.
And still a friend. She's great. Yeah.
Unlike Jerry, who we don't know.
Jerry is still my friend. I just don't know where he is.
Okay.
He's I see. This is the difference between you and me. I keep friends for life.
Even if you don't talk to them.
Well, I don't know where he is. I talked to him if I knew where he was.
So the night is still really young by the time we get done with the actual soiree.
Oh, yeah.
So then you take a big group photo on the corner outside the Gold Spike, and then everybody heads down Fremont Street to the Golden Gate for the shrimp cocktail eating contest. And how did that go? That
was a good one. A guy named Plummer actually ponied up $100 to buy the first 100 shrimp cocktails.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, leave it to you guys to have someone else put up the prize money for your event.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not complaining. Yeah. And we had 4 serious competitors that year. And I think
our buddy Gazal was in there. He's been a regular for a long time.
Yep.
Previous champion, yeah.
And a previous champion, that's right.
And the reason our friend Robert was not in it is he doesn't like seafood. Or he doesn't like shrimp.
Otherwise, that's how I was wondering that, because he's famously even on this podcast as a huge, big eater, and so I can't believe he never won the shrimp cocktail eating contest. But that makes sense that he just doesn't like shrimp.
He doesn't like shrimp, and especially not that shrimp, cheap shrimp.
I don't know. They're the best 99-cent shrimp you could eat, I think. So Gazal and a guy named Scott, and then there was Ted, and then there was Johnny, and it came down to Scott and Johnny. Each ate 10, and that's when Scott tapped out, and Johnny ate an 11th. And as far as we could tell, Johnny could have kept going, but we had to tell him, "Oh no, you won. You can stop now. You won."
He was intense.
And I calculated if they were a quarter pound each, that was like 44 ounces, which is almost 3 pounds of shrimp and sauce.
That was one where there were a lot of bystanders who jumped in. Like there was a kid at an adjoining table who was like, I'm going to do a cocktail contest at my table.
Yeah. He was doing a parallel.
Oh, that's when we opened the youth division. That was the first year we had a youth division of it.
We only had the youth division in the penny slot tournament one year. Before that, we had to stop that. But
Yeah, so we had brought this big group that had overwhelmed the Gold Spike and brought them all into this little corner of Golden Gate where they sold the shrimp cocktails and kind of overwhelmed that area with, buying dozens of shrimp cocktails all at once. And everybody's loud and cheering for each. And so then we got more bystanders in and they're watching. And then, even the security guards are coming over trying to figure out what's going on. They eventually got into it. And there's a nice picture of Johnny winning the competition raising his hands as if he just won the heavyweight championship.
It was gross.
It was pretty gross.
It was gross, but it was fun. And the people that worked at the deli there did not appreciate it. They did not appreciate someone walking up and saying, "We'd like 100 shrimp cocktails, please."
Right now.
Yes.
Keep them coming.
And the 18 people in line behind us probably didn't appreciate it.
They probably did not appreciate it either.
Yeah.
They had to go to the big freezer for that one.
So maybe the most memorable part of this trip, at least for me, was that after the shrimp cocktail eating contest, it's getting into the late night hours now. We go to a place called Larry's Villa. Now, I think a lot of people that live in Las Vegas maybe have never heard of Larry's Villa. What is Larry's Villa? How did we get there? Why did we get there? And what happened at Larry's Villa?
So Larry's Villa is a gentleman's club. Actually, I don't think they would ever call themselves a gentleman's club.
Yeah, I don't think you can describe it that way.
That's a strip joint, and it's kind of the bottom of the barrel. I think we chose it of all the strip clubs to go to because it was super cheap.
Johnny was tasked with what's the crummiest strip club in Las Vegas.
You.
And Johnny said, Larry's Villa. He didn't have to hesitate.
Oh, wow.
Larry's
Villa.
This
is why.
And we had a specific, Dan, you could talk about it. We had a specific task that we went to Larry's Villa for.
If you go and see this, the trip reports we've written, there's also a encyclopedia of Vegas terms that my brother Phil has created, and it's the Encyclopedia Vegasana. It needs a little updating, but at the time he was working on it, he said, I've included every single phrase, every single word we ever use, and if you can find one or include one that I didn't include, then I will submit to 10 spankings for every item that he didn't come up with. So naturally, we found a bunch. We were definitely going to call him out on a few things. And after a lot of dickering and bickering about it, he owed us 20 spanks, 20 spankings for Phil. And of course, we weren't going to spank Phil.
No,
so we were
I
like,
wasn't going to touch his butt.
Well, we wanted a professional to do it. So we decided let's go to Larry's Villa. We're going to tip one of the strippers to spank Phil on stage.
We actually got 20 of us there. There were 20 of us.
20 people. That's right.
Yeah,
we filled like 3 booths.
Yeah,
4 booths. Wow, and they're all very sticky booths.
Yes,
the torn leatherette.
To give you the sense of the place, I think of it as like the Western casino of strip clubs.
Yes,
really
totally.
the bottom, the bottom of the barrel, totally decrepit, derelict.
There was no cover, no minimum. Everything inside was either black or a grease smudged mirror,
and the lights were dim.
Lights were dim,
very dim,
and there were balloons hanging from the ceiling, but most of the balloons were deflated. So there's just these strips of sad rubber hanging from the ceiling.
and fly strips too, by the way.
And it was definitely.
The darkness was there. I mean, for not just for mood, but obviously you did not want to look closely at any surface.
No.
Tables, floor, rugs. And so you had to keep your eyes on the strippers, but you didn't really want to look at the strippers either.
Yeah. One thing I'll say is we ordered a round of drinks for our table, and it came to $16 for 5 drinks. And that's unheard of in a strip club. It was actually really cheap. But yeah, so once we're in there, Bob Black stops by my table. He goes, you got to check out the bathroom.
That was a good impression. That was great.
Nice. I'm like, why? What's so great about the bathroom? He goes, you just got to check it out. And so we went, all of us had to go check out the bathroom. And it was easily the dirtiest, most disgusting place I've ever seen on earth. Think of Calcutta's black hole, but you have to take a crap there. And that's what it was. It was so filthy and disgusting. It was broken tile. There was graffiti everywhere. Everything was just moldy and dirty and grimy
and slimy too. Yeah,
and slimy. And like it was like you didn't want to sit on that toilet. If you had to poop, you were going to hover, and you didn't even want to pee for the fear of splashback. There was pee, there was blood, there was brown stuff on the walls,
and oddly, it smelled okay. I'm kidding.
No,
it did not. It did not. It was terrible.
It was the worst bathroom I've ever seen.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah.
And there were probably other fluids in there that we didn't name.
I'm seriously got to move on because I'm going to start to gag. I swear to God.
Yeah, it was bad. Sorry about that.
But we all had to at least check it out twice. Once to see it and once to confirm it was as horrible as it looked.
You could believe your eyes. Yeah, and your nose.
Yeah. And we did get Phil spanked too.
Of course, Phil got his spanking.
We got it. We got 2 strippers up there and tipped them to spank Phil. One of them was kind of taking it in good fun and giving him some playful taps. The other one was
beat
like
his ass.
She was taking out on his butt every inappropriate touch or cat call. She just like she laid into him. Poor Phil.
He sat gingerly the rest of the evening.
He sure did. And I remember him turning around on the stage and kind of going, "Ow!" So,
and he was a hero.
He still enjoyed it thoroughly.
Oh
yeah,
people loved him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was kind of the star.
Yeah, exactly. He was literally on stage for the evening, getting
at Larry's Villa.
Warm rounds of applause.
Good gig.
Yeah. All right, so everybody comes back downtown. If you finish the night at the El Cortez, do you want to say anything about the crap session that went until the sun came up?
I think it was Jerry was with us. I think Matt conked out and went back to the room with Amy, but it was Stinky or Mark and me and Jerry and Bob Black, and it was one of these classic times where we just leaned against the rail at El Cortez until the sun came up, and this was. I miss Stinky. He had this great moment where, so cocktail waitresses circulate all night and they get really tired that early in the morning when they call out some cocktails. El Cortez, buy a drink. Cocktails, some drink.
Let Jackie gone. Let Jackie buy a drink.
And at some point, I think it was either Bob or Mark said they were hungry, and they started going.
Bob did. From what I remember, I only heard the story.
Bob said it, and then Mark said, "French fries, some to eat."
And the way I remember it is it made Bob almost spit out his drink onto the craps table. And so that became Mark's mission for the night. Yeah, no, Amy and I went and saw the Laura Ash Band at the Plaza's Omaha Lounge. And Amy almost tried dancing, and I had to show her. No, it's posted on every side.
Not in the Omaha Lounge. No, you can't.
Yeah, no dancing. Not in the lounge with live music. No dancing.
I have to tell you, too, that craps game, we were bouncing them off. I don't know if we always did that, but it was really like we were throwing them all over the place, and the locals were getting really pissed. I actually smacked a guy. He was leaning over the table, too, and I smacked him with a die hard enough that he said, "Derp." So for the rest of the night, we were calling him Derp. And
you also got a quote from them that we've used many times since.
That's
which
right.
Is,
yes.
We paid $10,000 for the table, and you want to play on the floor.
Oh, I thought you were talking about another quote, which is that I was wearing my Caesar's medallion, and the guy goes like, "Where'd you get that medallion, for jerking off?" So they were pissed at us, but I will say that after the dice passed, they started like, I don't know, it was contagious. They were throwing them on the floor, and then we were laughing at them too. So it was a shit show that night.
I don't know why Burt and I weren't in that craps game. I guess because I was with my wife. I don't know why Burt wasn't there, probably because he's a wimp.
Yeah.
But I remember being mad because Jerry was with you guys, and I had played blackjack with him, and I had shown him the ropes of a bunch of stuff, and then he goes and does stuff with you, and he did not go to Larry's with us, if you remember. He's all, "No, I'm not going to Larry's." So he didn't make that trip to Larry's with us.
You mean Jerry?
And that
Jerry. Yeah.
That's right.
Jerry
I was there.
Larry's.
I was at Larry's, but
Burt
Jerry
definitely went.
He said
Sorry.
he was a married man and didn't want to go, and yeah.
You got to respect that.
Yeah.
No.
I was a married man, and my wife came with me to Larry's Villa. But so I was kind of mad at him. I was just like, you know what? This guy's not getting everything out of Vegas that he's supposed to get. And I remember that's what I was feeling when I went to bed. I don't know what time. I went to bed early, maybe like 3 a.m. You guys were up much later.
We went to bed when the sun came up, probably about 6:30.
Yeah, and then so according to the trip report, they get back, 6:30, 7 o'clock or something, and wake Matt up. And then Matt, you were still feeling mad at Jerry at the time?
I was, and Amy was still asleep, and I was like, it's just like I don't know if I wanted to have the last word or what it was, but this was Sunday morning. Everyone was going to leave town that day. But it's like, look, I put all this time and effort into teaching Jerry how to be a good Las Vegas citizen.
Always got to have the last word.
Yeah. So I went and got him from his room at like 6:30. I knocked on his door, and it took a while for him to wake up. And he comes to the door, and he's wearing race car jammies.
Wait, this is the first time I'm hearing this. Go on.
Yeah. So he's wearing race car jammies, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And he's like, I'm sleeping. I said, no, let's go. I said, we got to finish the trip. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so I forget how I convinced him. It was, he's like, okay, yeah, you're right, Matt. And so I actually took him back to Larry's Villa. I didn't tell him where we were going, but I put him in the car.
Was Larry's Villa even open at like 7 in the morning?
24/7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was not alive, but it was open.
Okay.
So
it was not jumping.
Yeah, and he was a little resistant to go in there, and I forget how I got him in, but I got him in there. He's still wearing the race car jammies, but this is Vegas, so strip club 6:30 in the morning in your race car jammies.
Yeah, I'm curious about the strippers who work at that shift particularly.
I don't remember anyone on the stage at that time. There was a bartender there. And, she I remember she asked me something like, what are you and Howdy Doody up to? Something like that. I forget what
I assume Howdy Doody was Jerry?
Yes.
With the race car jammies.
Yeah. Even the race car jammies. And so I basically just showed him, hey, this is what Larrysville is. This is the fun side of Vegas. And, it was really a baptism for him. I don't remember all the details of it, but it was just showing him, hey, this is how Vegas works, and this is what's fun about Vegas. This grungy side, come and laugh at this and enjoy this lowbrow entertainment. And
you were the kind of the last to see him.
Am I? I don't
know how much of these trip reports to believe in terms of the details or not, but it sounds like you treated Jerry kind of poorly, and
I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember treating him poorly. I think it was all in good fun. But I guess I probably was, because I think, like, I got back to the hotel, and then I'm like, nobody knew where Jerry was, and I don't remember where he split off. He did his own thing.
Gotcha.
I think he wanted to stay longer. He maybe wanted to stay longer at Larry's. I don't know.
It was a big group, that weekend in Las Vegas, and it is one of those trip reports where, different groups are kind of splitting up and going their own way. But you can read the trip report a number of ways in terms of how things went for Jerry. This has been great, but we've got to take a quick break. We're going to talk more about the Vegas version. We're going to talk more about downtown Las Vegas. And I have just a little surprise for you two, as well as our listeners, when we return.
I like surprises.
Yeah, don't go away.
A green candle?
Right.
Discover your rewards at the luckiest casino in Las Vegas, Fitzgerald's. Here you'll find over 1,000 of the hottest slots in our slot excitement areas. Play your favorite slots in areas like Nickel Zone with payouts up to 98% and Bonus Spin Zone with payouts up to 101%, featuring 50 ways to spin and win. Fitzgerald's, where the Fremont Street experience begins, so do the rewards.
Hey everybody, it's me, Lucky Ned. How you doing? Hey, listen, about that money you loaned me, I'm gonna need a little more time to get that back to you, but I don't think you're gonna hold it against me In fact, you'll probably waive the debt because here we are at the Sigma Derby machine. There's seats open, and I'm going to help you win so much money you'll forget you ever loaned any to me. I'm taking a look at these odds here on this next race. And there's not very much exciting out there. The best payout is the 2-4, 32 to 1. Yeah, it's not too exciting. What I would say, if I was his, I would bet the 3-5 combination at 4 to 1. You're definitely going to win that one. It's not going to be a big payout, not too exciting, but it's nice to have a win every once in a while. So go ahead and bet on that. Easy 4 to 1 payout. And hey, right before they go, drop one in on the 2-4, 32 to 1, all right?
Thanks for coming back with us into the Neon Gutter. Now, we've been talking about one of the classic Vegas trip reports our heroes penned in the 1990s, all about their corruption of a young man making his first trip ever to Las Vegas. Now, his name was Jerry, and, well,
he had
frankly,
a great time.
He did. My buddy.
I don't know. If you read the trip report and the way you guys treated him, it was not great, really.
I don't remember that.
All right, fair enough. We can agree to disagree on that. But you haven't talked to him since, right? You said you've lost touch with Jerry.
Yeah, totally. And he was a buddy of mine.
Find him.
Not only since then, but on that trip, we lost touch with him that Sunday. Like the last time we saw him, I don't remember the details, but
last I saw was Saturday night at the craps table when he was throwing dice off the table.
Yeah, and he was. Yeah.
But Dan, you knew him for years from back in the college days and stuff. So okay, well, it
would have been great to me. It would have been great to hear, at least get a thank you from him for the good time we gave him. And it's sad that he never reached out to us and said, "Hey, thanks for showing me how to live and what a great time I had."
Well, I'll tell you, the fact of the matter is that Jerry wasn't really too hard to find. In fact, he's been listening to the whole first half of the podcast. I'm going to bring him on right now. We've got him here right now. Live with us is Jerry for the first time you've seen him in 25 years.
No, I don't
Jerry,
think
no way.
Jerry, thank you
Jerry.
so much for coming on the podcast.
And now you can say thank you.
God. Jerry, it's good to see you.
Hi, Jerry, yeah.
Jerry,
Hello.
can you hear us?
Yeah,
Okay,
I can hear you. And I also heard you refer to me as titular, which means you saw both these guys giving me purple nurples all weekend and did nothing about it.
It was fun. That was fun.
Well, Jerry, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast with us. This is a great surprise for not only our host, but our listeners.
What have you been up to?
Yeah, what have you been up to since for the last 25 years?
Why haven't you reached out to us? I mean, I blocked your email and your phone number, but that doesn't mean you can't reach me.
Yeah, so what I've been up to after we parted ways that weekend, I was just struggling to survive there in Vegas. I
stayed.
Made a little bit of money dressing up as Mr. O'Lucky, dancing outside of Fitzgerald's casino. And then that led to a gig with Thunder from Down Under dancing for them. But then, I found out they were just using me as the comic relief act, so I quit that. And then I got a job as a Y2K consultant on the slot machines at Mermaid's Casino.
Oh, good.
And finally, that December 31st, 99, I had enough money to save up. I just bought a one-way bus ticket fare to the first bus out of town, and it was to Austin, Texas.
Wow.
Okay. So you ended up staying in Vegas for a few months or so after that.
Yeah, you must have really had a good time.
Yeah.
I would not say stayed in Vegas so much as I was stranded there.
Oh, wow. But you learned how to strip, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
We call it exotic dancing.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Exotic
where
dancing.
did you go?
What happened after Larry's Villa? Because Matt took you to Larry's Villa. He says he kind of lost track of you. Did you get separated? How did you get stranded in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I want to go over the details of what you guys said in the first half and make some edits or corrections or give my point of view. And I would love, Burt, to tell you how things ended at Larry's.
Yeah, please. Because it doesn't sound great in the trip report, but I got a little different story here on the podcast.
Yeah, so just starting from the top, like Matt said, he'd pick me up at the airport, and then I, at the last minute, he's like, "Oh, take the bus in downtown. It'll be a great experience for you." And there was I hadn't rode the bus a lot. It was my first time in Vegas, and there was this on the bus. There was this 180-year-old guy with blue hair and 3 teeth, and he just stared at me like the whole 40-minute bus ride down. And he was like one of the more normal dudes on the bus. Like, that was not a great start.
Oh, that's classic.
That sounds like a great start to me.
Actually, that does sound not too bad.
Yeah, well,
I mean, maybe not the first thing you ever see in Las Vegas, but for an old heeled traveler, it's pretty good.
Do you remember how much fun we had at the Western, Jerry?
The Western, yeah, I want to talk about the Western and how my foot got like that and what happened. But I want to tell you about I took the bus ride and I thought Matt would be proud of me. And then after we got the breakfast, which was $1.33, which I feel I overpaid for based on the value of that.
That's fair.
Matt was going to drop me off at the Star Trek experience, which that was, I was really looking forward to that. And he's like, "Oh, why don't you walk?" So I can tell you more about Trek later on, but I walked there, and when I got back, I had this blister on my foot, and I was, I showed it off to Matt, and I thought he was really proud of me. Can I tell you about a little bit more about the Star Trek experience?
You can tell us a little bit.
I don't think we have time for that.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, So it was, first of all, there was not a. What did you guys call it? You were saying, was there something else you paid for? There was Star Trek the Ride. In years followed, they added Star Trek the Ride. They added Star Trek the Borg 4D experience. And Star Trek the Ride, it turns out you're one of Captain Picard's ancestors. And they beam you aboard, and they're trying to figure out which one of you is, and you go through all this stuff. And then the costume performers, there was a Ferengi at the bar that was
That's great. Okay, what else happened on the trip?
Do you get to meet Obi-Wan Kenobi?
So anyway,
was anyone naked? Were any of them naked?
No, they don't do that in Star Trek. TREK. I was going to say that was the part of the trip I liked the most, but it was the only part of the trip I liked.
Not a Vegas fan, I take it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe just. So anyway, an example of a fan of Vegas, they're like, "Oh, Jerry, you got to get a hot dog," and I got this coupon for the hot dogs. It was buy one get one, but then I had the second one, and I ate to buy the first one, and I finished the first one because I didn't want to let Dan down. Daniel was, he was really encouraging me to enjoy all Vegas had to offer, so I choked it down. But the second one, I didn't know what to do with it, but I couldn't throw it away. I'm like, well, I wouldn't throw away a battery or toxic acid or anything. So I just left the second hot dog there.
You put it in your pocket for later.
Yeah, I was afraid that would just eat through my
the cloth.
pocket. Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
And then the Western. So what happened was
nice place.
Yeah. Matt told me oh, just meet us at the Western, and I got lost, and I ended up in the yard of this abandoned apartment complex, and this guy with a knife came out of the shadows, and he mumbled
Holy
something,
cow.
and I started running.
Well, realistic, though. I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real. That was the
How
most
did you
real
hurt
thing
your
I'd
foot?
experienced in my life. So there's no way to get into the Western without crossing broken glass. Every
That's true.
angle,
Oh,
every
yeah.
direction,
That's
every
true.
approach, I had to go through it. And then
I thought about telling you that, but then I thought, no, that's, he'll figure it out. And I guess you didn't.
I'm sorry you didn't have shoes.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the games at the Western?
Yeah. We had a lot of fun.
It was to this day, anytime, I play cards with anyone, I'll subconsciously start patting my stomach or rubbing my head or the other one. That was not Cool. So then, after all that, like that was and that was just the first day in Vegas. I'm like, how am I going to get through this weekend? So I tried to get a good night's sleep, and I woke up super early Saturday. There was some Fergan a-hole playing accordion music at like 7 a.m. or something.
I agree.
Who could that have been?
Yeah, I mean, I had the room across the hall from Matt's. So I was like opposite side of the hotel.
Whoa,
and
you could
still
hear it.
I could
You
hear
could
it.
hear it across the hall from outside.
Totally,
Wow.
across the hall through the doors. And I heard like someone shout like, "Not your wiener" or something. I was just like, I don't know what was going on.
I don't want to gaslight you here, Jerry, but you really liked that music, and whatever other feelings you had don't count.
It was the most disturbing thing to wake up to at a Las Vegas 7 a.m. Saturday morning ever.
Well, I'm sorry that Dan did that to you.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy any of the events that they scheduled, any of the parties, the soiree? And because
Well,
frankly, I don't remember you being at any of that stuff, but maybe you were there. And
I was
enjoyed
there
it.
for everything. I was there for everything. Matter of fact, I remember you. I'm like, I saw you and Burt, and I'm like, who's the mullet? And that's like, I really
What?
started. Yeah, you had a mullet back then.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That
I
was not a
thinking to
mullet. It was not short in the front. It was
Yeah, I
long in the
remember.
front.
I forgot to say that earlier. That when I met Bob the first night, he said, "Yeah, you'll meet Burt tomorrow." He said, "I'm just gonna warn you, he's got really bad hair."
when I saw that, I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's easy to
what
spot me that way.
What class of people am I getting myself associated with? Like, so yeah, I was at all the events, Burt. I went to the ice cream
I'm sorry,
social.
I just didn't remember. It's been a long time.
You don't remember? Like, I was like dying for some. I love ice cream. I even have a little ice cream song I sing when I get it. But I was behind Phil, and Phil was like grabbing double handfuls of popsicles out of the cooler. So when I got there, I was rummaging around through all this dry ice, and Amy came up. She's like, "Hey, Jerry, how's it going? What you got there?" And I was just like, "Frostbite." And
Jerry, do you want to sing a little bit of the ice cream song?
Yeah.
no way, no. That part of me has been burned away. That there's a lot of myself I left behind that weekend in Las Vegas, and yeah, too painful.
Did you sing it at Mermaids when you worked there?
Yeah, to make bonuses. Like if I sung, they would pay me in fried desserts, fried Twinkies, fried Oreos.
This is while
fried
you were
Yodas.
doing your IT work on their slot machines.
Yeah. I was like, and they'd let me, they had these huge 5x5 boxes of beads that the beads came in, and that's just my size. So they let me sleep in the back, and I slept on beads for
That's nice.
months.
Yeah,
It
that
was
sounds
not
good.
nice.
Sound bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, try sleeping on beads for months. Anyway. So
Better
that
than
was
the Gold Spike.
That was the ice cream social. And then I went to the next event, the penny slots, and there was this really tall, skinny guy, like shaking his bucket
That would
of
be
pennies.
Robert.
Like, yeah, Robert. Well,
It sounds
I thought
like Robert.
I thought his name was Shakes, but anyway, he was shaking, and it was so annoying. Like, I put my hands to my ears to cover them, and he stole all my pennies and ran
That's
off.
Robert. Definitely Robert.
And that was
That's definitely Robert. Yep.
That was like 19 seconds into the penny slot tournament. So
Oh, you lost. Oh, that's too
Yep.
bad.
I was the first one out, I think. And I felt, that was the one time of the weekend, like I felt sorry for someone else, like Lester, that poor boy. Like when you guys yanked that T-shirt over his head when he won, he did not blink once for the rest of the night after that. And I just went to him halfway through the night. I'm like, that's a good strategy.
We gave him that T-shirt for free, though.
I think you forced it on him, but whatever. Yeah, he was the most fashionably dressed guy at the soiree. Like he did not need that T-shirt, but
That's true.
whatever.
This was pre-sartorial splendor. We weren't dressing for the soirees yet at that point.
That's true.
So,
That's
yeah,
true.
we had to dress him down to meet the rest of us.
Yeah.
Now, Jerry, again, I apologize. I can't remember, but did you enter the shrimp cocktail eating contest then?
He did.
No,
Oh, he didn't.
I watched it. I was at that point. I was kind of hiding. Like I would just hide behind Robert because I was afraid of Matt and Daniel at that point. It didn't work. Right after
What?
Daniel dragged me to try and teach me how to learn craps. But
I learned you craps good.
oh my gosh, that was a bloodbath. And but at the shrimp cocktail eating contest, like if you look at the photo of that security guard holding up Johnny's hand, like that has to be that guy's happiest moment in his life. That security guard is just radiant. Like
it's probably maybe the most exciting thing that ever happened in the Golden Gate Deli.
Yeah.
So that had to be a highlight of the trip for you then, Jerry.
Yeah.
It was like I felt the safest because like I wasn't going to eat any of that, but like
That's the safest.
Daniel and Matt were not trying to get me to do anything, but eventually Daniel dragged me to craps, and he was just nailing people around the table left and right.
Where were you guys playing?
Was that Daniel, was that the El Cortez or the Gold Spike?
It could have been the Union Plaza,
Plaza. I
and
think it may
also
have
the
been
El
the Plaza.
Cortez.
I think
I think
Plaza
it was-
and El Cortez, yeah.
Well, that's how you play craps. It is a contact sport.
Well, I asked the pit boss after like the 9th time you hit someone. I'm like, I was looking at, I had no idea about how to play craps. It was such a confusing table. I'm like, where on here can I bet on who he's going to hit next with the dice?
That is a great idea.
Yeah, it is a good
the,
idea.
The pit boss didn't think so. So I tried like patting my stomach and rubbing my head and like pointing to the guy I thought you were going to
work.
hit next. And that didn't work either.
Oh, I thought that would.
And so, like, I was watching you, Daniel. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do better. And so I got the dice, my first throw ever. I hit this poor Iranian guy right in the nose, like on my very first throw. And he was so furious. He had a hand clamped over his nose, and he was yelling stuff like, I've been hit 3 times, and I'd be safer fighting bulls, and I hope next time just blind me so I don't have to watch you two throw anymore. And
That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, it was really a bouncy table, though. If I remember correctly, the El Cortez had a bouncy table. So I'd say it was only 95% you guys' fault.
yeah, I was I was scared to death, which was my default mode for that whole weekend. I was just
That hurts. I'm so sorry. I think you're wrong, though. I think you're remembering it incorrectly.
Well,
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
If you go back to the trip report, a lot of this stuff is detailed, but again, I'm not always sure what to believe. So, Jerry, where it seemed like really the rubber hit the road was that final morning when Matt brought you to Larry's villa.
So I'm like,
can you give us your version of that?
Yes. And
So
when are you
finally-
going to say thank you?
yeah, let's get into that. So Saturday night, I go and I like hide Daniel's accordion so I can get a good night's sleep.
That's where it went.
I get into my, I was just like in a bad place. I got into my best pair of race car jammies, that to me, I had a little yoo-hoo to get right to sleep. And so...
Does it have a flap in the back?
well, I don't know anymore because you'll find out. So I wake up this time, someone's pounding at my door, and it's Matt, and he yanks me by the arm, and he hauls me into the elevator. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I was starting to swear at that point. I was using profanity to show you how
He did.
bad.
I remember that.
Yeah, how bad the weekend was going, and
That's fucking awful.
He used the M word and the J word, and he
both
used
of them, yeah.
and the Q word.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I even busted out like some Star Trek profanity. So anyway, he drags me out. He throws me in the rental car. He tells me he's got a surprise, and I love it. And we go to this place, and there's this sign that says Larry's Villa. And I'm like, what is this place? And I remembered, I'm like, don't make me go in there, Matt. I don't want to see the naked ladies. And Matt was like, he was going into this stuff. It's like, it's not about the naked ladies. Yeah. And I begged him, please.
Jeez, Matt.
And I was digging the feet of my padded jammies into the
footies.
carpet. Yeah, I was using those footies, which burned a hole in them on that carpet. Plus, Daniel was not there. I don't know where Daniel, my friend, was.
Probably asleep.
Matt drags me into the bathroom, and he picks me up.
That horrible bathroom.
It was a bad bathroom.
It was the worst. I almost passed out from the smell alone.
I'm a little shocked, Matt.
Well, but I mean, that's where he needed to be at that time in his life. He needed to be in that bathroom at that moment.
That's what you said, and I said, this is not fair. I'm 5'4", and you're like 9 feet. And Matt picks me up and upends me, and he drags me over to the toilet. And I was trying to grab onto something, but
you don't want to touch
single
anything.
thing. At that
Matt,
point, I was
why would
desperate.
you do that? That's horrible.
It's coming back to me now. It was fun. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jerry was laughing. I think I heard him laughing. Because
so you were doing it just as a joke,
I was
but I don't
gagging.
think Jerry took
that
it
was
that
not
way.
laughing. That was gagging.
No, it wasn't a joke. It was a baptism. It was, here you are. You're now entering into the life of the Neon Gutter.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, it's time for your baptism, and he gave me a swirly in the toilet, which is like, yeah.
To be fair, the contents of that toilet didn't really swirl. They were a little too solid to swirl much, but
It's going to be a good hold after that,
That's
but just not smell good.
I understand why you have not decided to get in touch with these guys for the last 25 years.
So he let me go after I was baptized. And,
I remember the bartender knocked on the door because you were screaming so loud. Like, oh my God. It's like, Jerry, just shut up and take it. And he's screaming so loud, the bartender comes over and she knocks on the door and says, everything all right? And I'm like, yeah, he just had bad chili. And she goes, well, I've heard worse. But anyway.
I unleashed the biggest. I was screaming like, you gosh darn feather mucker. And like, nothing happened. Yeah. And so I was mad. We argued all the way out, walked all the way out. I was like bumping into stuff because I was covering my eyes because I didn't want to see the naked ladies and I didn't want them to see me. That permanently ruined forever my best car of race car jammies.
Yeah, I'm sure you would never wear those again, yeah.
So I was mad. When we got outside, we argued and it ended like I said, I never want to talk to you again. And Matt just said, Matt said, well, walk then. And he drove off and left me there in the parking lot of Larry's Villa in my besotted race car jammies, no wallets, no ID.
To be fair, you did say you didn't want to talk to him again.
Yeah, and I had conditioned you to walk earlier in the trip. So, I mean...
Yeah, but he didn't even have shoes. He just had footy pajamas. I mean,
yeah, but they had like a rubber bottom.
So I'm out there like one foot is starting to bleed again. My hands are burnt from the dry ice. All the Star Trek little Enterprise I put in the pocket of my race car jammies to sleep with fell into the toilet. And as much as I love NCC 1701-D, I was not going to go into that toilet for that. So that's like the last I saw of you yahoos.
Oh, you should have caught up with us, Jerry.
The mystery is solved.
Honestly, I don't blame you a bit.
Well, you will note he said he never wanted to talk to me again, and here he is talking to me.
Now who has the last laugh?
Yeah.
I'm talking.
All right, guys.
Burt.
Well, honestly, my gag reflex is kicking in again, so we're going to need to take one more quick break. But to paraphrase Dan in the trip report, dear listener, retch not, listen on, listen on. We'll be right back.
Other than that, Jerry, how you been?
Well, a popular erotic dance bar is no more after the city stripped it of its business license.
Larry's Villa near Bonanza and Rancho was open for 44 years. 13 Action News reporter David Schumann explains what's next for that neighborhood.
The doors are boarded up. They won't be reopening.
That might help actually increase foot traffic, bring a different clientele to the plaza and to the neighborhood.
The city council voted to take away Larry's Villa's business licenses, saying in a complaint the bar and strip club has shown a continual and repetitive pattern of illegal activity.
Police were called here 490 times in a nearly 2.5-year period, including for a murder that happened earlier this summer.
Paul Koretsky opened his laundromat just around the time of that deadly shooting.
It was kind of rowdy.
And he's already seen a difference in business in the month or so Larry's Villa has been closed.
There were cops, every so often over there, and people just felt uncomfortable, especially bringing their kids or their grandchildren around.
Less frequent police activity is a good start. Near Rancho and Bonanza, David Schumann, 13 Action News.
And now it's time for the Neon Gutter Sigma Derby Race of the Week.
Welcome to the Derby. We're 13 seconds from post time. We've got the 1-2 at 16. We've got the 1-3 at 3, 1-4 20, 1-5 13, 2-3 5, 2-4 32, 2-5 21, 3-4 6, 3-5 4, 4-5 26, and they're off. And the 1 and 3 take an early lead, and the 5 is on the outside. 5 is slowing down on the outside, but the 1-3 have a huge, possibly insurmountable lead as we come around the corner. The 2 is in a distant third place, with the 4 coming up, and the 5 pulling in from the outside, but it's long and stretched out. 1-3 in first place. The 2, the 4, the 5 may not be able to catch up. This is going to be wire to wire, 1 and 3, 1 and 3 to the wire, paying 3/4 for anyone with no sense of adventure.
Hey, great results on that last race. Big winners all around. In fact, I won so big, you don't have to pay me back that money I loaned you. Let's call it even. All right, square, square.
And we're back in the Neon Gutter. Guys, now in our last episode, we talked about bringing back the soirees back to Vegas, back to our group.
Nice.
Jerry, how do you feel about that? Do we have you here? Would you be up for attending?
Well, my first thought is that was like the worst weekend of my life, and it led to a very dark period where I just had to do whatever I could to survive. But then I think, ultimately it turned out for the best because it actually gave me a deep fondness for the Neon Gutter. So in conclusion, I will give Matt and Daniel their thank you for that much, for at least introducing me and inspiring me to the Neon Gutter. And now that we are reconnected, I look forward to seeing each of you in court.
Oh, what? Is this a subpoena?
Yeah, I've got small claims court. Guess how much a pair of 1999 race car jammies with footy and back flap built in goes for? That's just the start.
Oh my God.
Jeez, you wouldn't do that. I mean, we should be suing you.
Yeah, I'm not involved with that, right, Jerry?
You're off the hook, mullet.
Okay.
Yeah, Jerry, I hope you do come to the next. First, that you don't try to sue us, because I will countersue. And I have a friend named Stevie Fineprint.
Stevie Fineprint is also, he's on retainer for me too. He said he'd take both sides of our case, which I don't get how that works, but
doesn't surprise me.
Only Steve can do that.
But I would very much like for you to come to the next soiree, because there's so many more things I'd like to show you, and so many more places I'd like to abandon you.
Do you know you could steal the pennies back?
Yeah.
Dear God, no.
Well, guys, speaking of pennies, now that the last penny ever has been minted, I think I can confidently say whether it's stealing pennies, gambling pennies, pitching pennies, or just saving pennies, no one's done it better than you. And as this season goes on, we'll talk more about everything from pitching pennies to casino moguls, super soirees to the smartest and not so smartest ways to get the most out of Las Vegas. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel down here in the Neon Gutter.
Wait, you guys have been doing this for a whole 2 seasons and you just now remembered me?
I didn't remember you.
Yeah, I didn't remember you.
All right.
The cash won't last.
The Neon Gutter is a Big Empire production. Randy Shandis, executive producer. Our incredible theme music is courtesy of Rosin Coven. Do you have something to say? Call our voicemail line at 775-400-2941. And for more episodes, vintage photographs and video, contact info, and those amazing trip reports, visit us at neongutter.com.
Vegas Quatrain number 1. The felt was green, the table was wood, its legs were stout and sturdy. I leaned myself against the rail and stayed until 6:30. You said butt.
Wiener.